Hi there and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. For those of you that's seen our recent episode on Bitcoin and decided to enter into the market and purchase some for yourself, congratulations, as Bitcoin has risen in price since that episode and has the potential to continue this trend in the future. So, well done. Now, our guest on today's show is very well known in the truth community, has a YouTube channel with over 160,000 subscribers. I'm sure a lot of you will know Max Igan. Hi Max, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, brother. Nice to see some voices in Australia doing this sort of thing.
Thank you. So you're a free spirit studying the universe. When did all your research begin?
Oh, mate, life has been an ongoing research, I think. I mean, I woke up when I was 4 to the fact that things were all messed up. And, you know, I went through my childhood just watching the freak show. As soon as I was old enough to look after myself, I walked out of school and lived on the outside of society and just kind of looked at the whole thing and wondered why everybody was mad. It's been an ongoing thing my whole life, mate. The world is mad. It's like a madhouse. And it's run by criminals. And when I was 8, I got told about the pyramids, and I got told that no one knew how they built these things. And I found that fascinating. So I started researching ancient history when I was 8. And by the time I got to high school, I was quite well read. And my teachers would be telling me things, and I'd say, excuse me, I've just read a book on that topic, and what you're giving us is the most commonly accepted theory, and there's a whole bunch of other theories regarding that topic, and perhaps you should be opening it up for discussion so we can actually make our own minds up about these things, and that would be real education, and they didn't like that. So I got kicked out of 4 schools, and I just realised it's all crazy. And you're not teaching us how to think. You're teaching us what to think.
That's right.
And so I just left, and I lived on the outside of society my whole life. I became a musician, and I just lived on the outside of the whole thing. I just didn't want to participate.
People have made comparisons between school system and the prison system. It's all based on punishment, strict uniform, everything happens at a certain time. There's no rewards in a sense, it's all punishment, and that's how they rule that. And no opportunity for freedom of expression, isn't it, Max?
Oh yeah, no room for freedom of thought, and it's based on punishment. If you look at terrorism, if you look up in the Oxford English Dictionary and look up the definition of terrorism, it's defined as violence or the threat of violence carried out against civilians as a means of coercion, often for political reasons. If you look at the education system, it is terrorism. It is violence or the threat of violence carried out against students as a means of coercion into compliance. It's terrorism. You know, anything that you are forced to do under threat of punishment, this is terrorism by definition. The entire education system is based on terrorism. No thinking outside the box allowed. If you must regurgitate what is in the books on command, and that becomes your reality, and if you question it, you'll be ostracised and vilified by the class. We'll put you in the corner and we'll put a dunce hat on you, and we'll mark you as a D-class person. We will grade you all as an A-class person or a B-class person or a C-class person. You know, and you're in a class where you're just full of your peers, all people your same age. So it's all competition. There's no cooperation. It's competition. The only influence you've got is the teacher, who is going to take out whatever their repressed biological urges for the previous night tell them they should inflict upon these students. That's the situation that we've got. You know, back in the old days, students would be in a class and there would be people of all ages. You would have one school, you'd have one class, you'd have grade 1 right through to grade 12, all in the one class. And whether they do what the teacher says, you end up with a society of programmed sociopaths, which is what we've got. You know, and we're told all this stuff, you've got to be tolerant, you've got to be all this stuff, and then get out in the business world and be ruthless. You know, you will not survive in the business world unless you can apply sociopathic thinking to the business world. You know, it's all about profit. Everything's fair in business. Doesn't matter if I destroy your life and destroy your family, it balanced the books. You know, this is the mentality we've got, and this is all through this education system. The education system we've got is psychological abuse against children, government legislated psychological abuse against children. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
People need to stand up and call that for what it is. They really do.
It's frightening, and you've explained as well, history is a lie, and they keep pushing the lies and the propaganda down at the local schools. People are being brainwashed to no end, and then they leave school with a false sense of education. Now, we're approaching a one world government and a new world order at an alarming speed. We're faced with a nightmare, aren't we, Max?
Oh, we are. And it's being pushed and pushed and pushed and promoted. This don't dare speak out under fear of hate speech or whatever. You know, we'll legislate that we'll remove pronouns and you've got to do all this stuff, and we'll legislate how you can think and what you can say and what you can do. Well, this is not what we employ government to do. You know, government is a bunch of people, public servants that we employ to manage infrastructure for us in a responsible manner. And we created a legal system to prevent the causation of harm and to provide remedy when harm is caused. But now these politicians are legislating against us. They're using the legal system to cause harm against the people.
That's what's happening.
Where is the validity in the legal system if they're doing that? And they're doing it because we're just going, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, instead of saying, under what authority are you doing? Moved us into the basement, and now they're selling the silverware and they're putting little ropes and chains around the basement so we can never get out. And it's about time that people realise what's going on here. These people are our employees. They're using our legal system against us to cause harm. Does anybody have a problem with this?
It's astonishing how far they think they can get away with. Yeah, it really raises concern just how far they keep pushing. And when you have an out-of-control government with criminal elements, it really leaves the public in a sense of fear. And everyone's really panicking here in Australia. They're moving in, they're selling off assets and land to China. We've got coal seam fracking. Farmers' land has been destroyed. They can literally set fire to the water. Cattle's dying. Farmers committing suicide. It's a national emergency here in Australia, isn't it, Max?
It is, and the people aren't noticing it, and you try to say something against it and you get accused of hate speech or whatever. People just aren't asking the right questions to their government. They're petitioning these people. Ask them what authority they have. They're invalid. They're a non-de jure government. Ask them if anything they're doing is under the Australia Act, because the Australia Act is invalid and you're all before the Privy Council at the moment under this invalid Australia Act and for your theft of Australia. So how is any of your legislation valid anyway? Now, if you're going to come here and inflict yourself upon me, show me how any of it is valid.
And when people make a post on Facebook,
to cause harm against people.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right. And people make a statement on Facebook detailing this, and then they get their page taken down. One person made some allegations about the New Zealand shooting, and then they were imprisoned just for liking a post on a Facebook page or making a comment. I mean, this is extreme censorship that's really out of control.
Well, you know, people do that because they don't like what you're saying. They don't, because they're afraid of what you're saying. You know, the reason they didn't let David Icke into the country isn't because they don't like what he says, it's because they're afraid of what he says. You know, and they're afraid of people posting this stuff on Facebook. They're afraid of people standing up for themselves.
Which shows I went to a council meeting the
other day and I stood up for them myself, and the councilwoman was shocked. They were actually shocked to see someone stand up for themselves. And the whole room stood up and cheered. And some of my neighbours were scared. They were literally scared of me because I seem unstable, because I actually stood up and I challenged the authority of these people, and I asked them to please show cause, or we should not rally the community, express a loss of confidence in this council's ability to govern, and have them investigated due to their actions. And there were people that were literally scared because I said that, oh no, he seems like a bit of an extremist.
Which is unusual.
Most of the room got up and cheered, you know, and I'm like, you know, grow a backbone, people. These are your employees. They're your employees, and they're saying, look, we can come and put a fracking well in your backyard, and you're going, oh, gee, I can't do anything about it because she wrote down on paper that you can come and destroy my backyard, you can destroy my environment, and there's nothing I can do because it's written down on paper. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? This is not what we employ government to do. And they're your employees, folks. Remember that. They're your employees. And now they're causing harm against you through legislation, which is not what the legal system is for. But you go to the police station now, if there's a crime, you go to the police station and see if you can get a cop to help you. They won't. They won't help you. If you report a crime, they'll just tell you, oh, it's this, oh, it's a civil matter, or it's a civic matter, or go to the police station near. Anything they can do to fob you off. because they don't want the police officers investigating crime. They want the police officers out on the street, because every police officer, if he does a day's work, he can bring in $3,000 revenue per day. That's what they want. And that's what the police are being told to do. They're not even investigating crimes now. And that report that I've just told you there has been released by an ex-Queensland police officer because he left the force under disgust, because that is what the police are doing now. They won't even investigate crimes. All they want to do is find people that aren't walking between the lines so they can collect revenue from the criminals who are running this country. That's what's going on, folks. Wake up to yourselves. This government is non de jure. It's not even a valid government via its own legislation, and we need to call them out for what they're doing. We really do. And this isn't belligerence. It isn't treason. Belligerence and treason is what the government is doing, and we need to, well, those masquerading as government are doing. These people are invalid. They're in treason. They've done everything they can to remove the rights of the people. You know, the original constitution of this country gave sovereignty to the people. We are sovereign. We all actually have a share in this country. We're all shareholders of the Commonwealth of this nation. Real constitution. The real constitution is the red book, not the green book. And in the red book proves that all these people masquerading as government are a bunch of criminals. About time we called it, folks.
100%. And when you have a legitimate concern and you challenge the government, the whole community views people as a radical, an outcast, where they should be applauded for showing a backbone and standing up for matters of concern that is going to benefit the whole public. It seems like there's a divide and conquer operation taking place. It's working effectively to weaken humanity's capacity to stand up and make a change in this world. That's what's happening exactly, isn't it, Max?
Well, yeah, look, you know, divide and conquer, that's the whole thing. They get us all arguing about all these details of things with each other, you know. And even with this Christchurch shooting, what they've done there with the manifesto of the shooter, you can see what they've done there. That's been done to help people view any talk of this as extremism, radical extremism. You know, I'm not a radical extremist. I don't own a gun. I've never actually had a fight in my life. Wow. I've never hit anybody. I'm 61 years old and I've never hit anybody. I never even had a fight at school. You know? I'm just not a violent person, but I'm quite happy to stand my ground. And you know, I've always been able to diffuse any situation that I've ever been in. The people have always not fought me because I've ended up getting them to see reason, you know. And I've walked right up to their face and I'd say to them, what are you going to do? Prove my point by smashing the smallest guy in the room, you know? And they would kind of look at you, and you'd end up becoming friends with a lot of these people, you know. So, yeah, I'm not a violent person, but I have no problem standing up against criminal activity when I see it. And this government is a criminal organisation. This institution that we euphemistically refer to as the federal government of Australia is a criminal organisation. Have a look at it, what they do.
And I'm very glad you've been pointing that out to people.
It's racketeering. You do what I say or I put you in a cage. Back in the old days, I used to come around and say, oh, look, you know, you better pay us some protection money or your shop might